Hello, my name is Kansas Neesmith and I'm doing this video presentation for Baptist History Professor Moore. The research topic that I chose was contributions of Black Baptists in the Civil Rights era or 1800s. The reason why I chose this topic was because it was going to be mainly based on the Black Baptists in that area, and I knew I was going to have come across some very interesting findings. Now, I did not know that the black church was organizing things so that they could have school and stuff like that, and they were responsible for splitting the community up and stuff like that. I did not know that the black church was about all that. And they always relied on themselves. They didn't rely on everybody else. And when Martin Luther King had died, it was the ending of a victorious era. When I wrote about the several people in my paper, which is George Liele and John Jasper, I mainly was more interested in Martin Luther King because Martin Luther King was ordained by his father because his father was a Black Baptist preacher, and so was his grandfather. He was a Black Baptist preacher. But he was ordained by his father to be a Black Baptist preacher, and he became a Black Baptist preacher. And many of you know that he was very famous for his speech, "I Have a Dream." And also, whenever he was killed, the day he was killed was actually became a holiday. And excuse me. And the foundation of black religion, or Black Baptist, the religion of the Black Baptist, it was against the background of slavery and segregation. They did not want to be considered slaves. They wanted to be spiritually free, able to do what they wanted to do. So they considered a protest movement. And the black church provided hope for the hopeless and faith for the faithless, and they were really kind and caregiving. And one of the main things in my paper that really caught my eye was the women, because the women in my paper that I wrote about, they were not allowed to be a preacher or a pastor or any of that stuff. They were active in the churches, and they served as mission leaders and choir members and ushers and deaconesses and stuff like that. But they were not, and they were cooks and things like that, and they directed the youth activities at the church, the children activities and things like that. They did that. But that's all they did. They were not pastors or preachers. But today in a church, you would see a woman as a pastor or a preacher. I know a few. And today, men are the same as opposed to women in a church. But the difference is that back then, men were supposed to be the only ones to preach, and women were supposed to just sit with the kids and do their duties in the church as well. I just wanted to explain that the differences between today, modern day, versus past, it's grew. Like, all schools are black and white. Churches are black and white. You might find some churches that have more white people, or you might find another church that has a lot of black people, but there is churches out there that combine the two, and you have a black pastor and you have a white pastor. So a lot has changed since then. And that was really my point of the research paper, was to show that, you know, the Black Baptists in the civil rights era, they fought to get where they needed to be and things like that. They did not go through, they went through more than what people go through today to get where they wanted to be. Thank you.